Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited for today's video because we're going to be talking about the Unwin Accessible Park, or the Jumpstart Playground, here off of 68th and 133rd, I believe it is. But I wanted to share a bit more about my experience personally as a sibling with a sister who has diverse needs, and a little bit more about Angie's perspective and why it is so important to have inclusive designs in our day-to-day activities. So without further ado, let's get started. So as many of you already know, Angie has diverse needs, which I will be filming and putting up pretty soon, and just talking about her diagnosis and all of that. But for today's video, I kind of wanted to share just a bit more about Angie's journey, and especially talk about play. So for 17 years of her life, we have not really been able to take her to too many inclusive parks until we heard about Unwin Park coming up, and I wanted to go and check it out for myself. So I took her there and we tested out just how accessible it was and how she enjoyed it. And I honestly can tell you it was 100% best decision ever, because just beside the Jumpstart Playground, they had a water park as well, which was also fully accessible. And that is actually one of the first water parks we've taken Angie to that she has thoroughly enjoyed being fully part of, without having to get off of her wheelchair or having to worry about having those things. And so I wanted to share a bit more about inclusive designs and the impact of it for families like us. So it's been 17 years since Angelina has actually been able to go fully on her wheelchair on playground structures. So this time for Angie on a playground was completely different. Usually we take her off her wheelchair, and either one of us in our family will support her walking up the structure, and we are fairly limited, especially because we are a pretty small family, like all of us are pretty short. So taking her on playground structures can actually be really hard for us because we are such a short family. So transitioning her and transferring her while helping her walk up a playground structure can be fairly awkward, and also just not really safe all the time. So as she's grown up, especially over these, I want to say like past 5 or 6 years, we've had to limit the amount of time she goes to playgrounds and plays on the playground structures. So we'll take her to playgrounds, and it's usually very limited to like, oh, we can take you on the swing and transfer you on a swing if they have accessible ones. Or if she was willing to walk, we'll take her up like the kiddie slides. But she's never really gone on playground structures too much over this past 5 years, for the fact that her accessible needs aren't being met at playground structures. So when we went to the Jumpstart Playground, we were so thrilled that she could actually go on the structures. So some of the structures that were there that were fully accessible were the merry-go-round. We tried the seesaw one, the swings were there. They also had like a musical section. I think they call it like the Rhapsody music section or whatever. And they have a sensory section. And they also apparently had like slides that were transfer easy. I haven't checked that out, and I didn't see it because there were so many things for the first time that we were so excited to try. So we will be going back and trying the slide out. But for the first time in my life, it was so seamless and easy to let her play organically with friends at the playground, whether it was with her nieces and nephews or other kids that were actually genuinely interested in playing with her. It's not a rare thing for us to have other kids come up to Ange and play with her, but it's a rare thing for her to be able to go and play with them on the structure, because she cannot go on the structure without someone being there physically and lifting her up. And so because of safety factors and all of that, we actually weren't able to do very much of that for the past 5 years or 6 years. And for her to be able to actually go up and run around and play tag with kids and chase her niece around, like, it was amazing to see her laugh and actually feel empowered and joyful and thoroughly be in the moment playing, which was amazing. But more so, it actually allowed for children that may not always have siblings or family members or friends that have diverse needs. It allowed them the opportunity to be educated about that at a young age, and for parents to see how important it is to have their children have that exposure. Allowing kids to be kids is a huge thing, and I think we always keep hearing like play is important and allowing kids to play is so good and it's so important, but we fail to understand that if the designs aren't inclusive of diverse needs, play is already stopped at a certain level. So for Angie, growing up, we never had the experience and the luxury of having accessible playgrounds to us growing up. So when Sharon and I used to go to the playground, we'd take her to the playground, but we were limited to, unless one of us carried her up the slide, or if she walked minimally and supported us, she could go down the slide and she could go down swing, or she could go on swings, she could maybe go on some of the merry-go-rounds if it was safe, but we were extremely limited on things as she started getting taller and older and heavier. And so last week's park experience was one of the first time in 17 years that I got to play with my sister at a park and not have to worry about, you know, how many times can I lift her before I'm gonna get fatigued, or is this going to be safe for both of us? And I was able to actually engage and be in the moment and have both me and Angie chase after our niece and take her on the swing and allow her to relax with both of us being there. And it was honestly one of the best experiences I've had. We always hear this saying of, it's so important to learn through play, but children don't learn through play unless they're able to be experiencing the things you want them to learn. If you're telling children to include other kids and with diverse needs, and I'm not just talking about Angie right now, I'm talking about maybe when Angie was younger, when she was 6 or 7 or 8 and in a wheelchair, and if you're asking children to, oh, make sure you're playing with everyone and you're teaching your children to be kind and respectful and you know, inclusive of everybody and all abilities, but they're not able to directly interact with that child on structures, there's already that barrier. It was really cool to see kids come up and, you know, ask genuinely like, oh, is she going to the water park? And how old is she? And having conversations that were really spontaneous, but genuine kid conversations. And for me as a sister, it was refreshing to see that. And even though it's 17 years later, and you know, we would wish that it would have happened when she was 5 or 6 and growing up, I'm so happy that it's still starting right now, and that, you know, we're able to advocate and show children just by modeling that they are able to talk to individuals, and they are able to, there's nothing scary about it. What I hope for people to take out of this video is the importance of having inclusive design. If you are a designer or an architect or whatever, I really want to continue encouraging people to keep inclusivity and accessibility in the front of your mind, because it honestly makes a world of difference. So that's all I have for today's video, and I wanted to share that. I hope you guys had fun watching and hearing about our experience, and I hope you guys go and check it out for yourself. If you know of any families who may enjoy it just as much as we did, don't forget to share this video with them. And you know, I hope you guys have tons of fun, and a huge thank you to Canadian Tiger Jumpstart Foundation and City of Surrey for putting together a playground like this, and I look forward to seeing more playgrounds like this coming around in Surrey and other areas in BC. So I'll see you guys later. Bye!